My one job. I almost messed it up. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Again, we're excited to have Pete and CG Schmidt do a construction update for you. Obviously, I provided a little bit of insight more from my timeline. They'll give you the more construction-esque words. My words are tough, so I'm going to stop presenting. But we have Pete, and he brought a couple of his guys with him, so carpenters. So I'm excited to share that with you, and Pete, take it away.
Well, good afternoon. It's been a couple weeks. It hasn't been a full month, I don't think. A lot's changed on our end. You guys have obviously seen the change out there. So we've got a little presentation. Carla is not with me today. So she is at home doing something at home. And she did put the slides together. I didn't look at them before I'm clicking on them. So if anything's funny, it's Carla. And she said I needed to come up with a quiz question and the quiz answer, and I didn't. So there is no quiz today, but I brought show and tell. So my show and tell is Luke Carini. He is our our carpenter foreman, and he is our acting assistant soup. So he functions in a superintendent role for the demo and the construction. And then we also brought along Jonah. I don't remember your last name. And he is one of our newest carpenter apprentices on site. So he's going to give him an opportunity to talk a little bit about how he got into the trades, how long he's been in the trades. And then I'll ask Luke to do the same, just talk a little bit about how he did it and some of his big, I guess, milestone projects he's worked on. He's worked on a lot of Milwaukee skylights. So we'll start real quick. Today's presentation. Our agenda is to review the schedule, new updates, no quiz. I'm sorry about that. Show and tell, question and answer. So we'll start with the schedule. Again, we're doing a lot of construction right now in Commons North. That's your front entryway that you're usually coming and going in, that we've got all fenced off and boarded up for you. And then we have, since our last time we met, we've taken Water Tower and separated it from the rest of the castle so that we could do our work safely, and we're not interrupting you and you don't have to hear us. So we put a lot of insulation between you so you don't have to hear us because we're noisy. Here's some Commons work. These photos were a little earlier this week. I know you've all got the windows. Actually, I got a request today to add a window a little bit further west so you could see down into that main entryway a little bit better. But this is kind of what's behind the scenes. This is going to be your club room. So that was the library area. Looks a lot different. I think we can see into there pretty well through the window. Hopefully everybody's stopping and taking a look. This is upstairs by this old salon and the store area. You can see the ceilings out, all the fronts are off. It looks a lot different up there. We'll be updating pictures quite regularly, so you can see that, because you won't be able to see that through one of the peak windows. And then this is from upstairs where Christmas at the Castle was, where I met you. And this is looking down at the fireplace. So the carpet's been removed. The fireplace is getting reworked to look like the pictures you see on the side, on the posters. When you look next to the window, we've got the posters. That's what that future area is going to look like, so you can kind of compare. A lot of those posters are pretty close, I think, to where the view you'd be seeing. So keep an eye on us. Don't let us slip up there, all right? Water tower. We started demo officially on Monday. So we did some make-ready work. We built that big scaffold earlier that was hanging off the east side. And again, I think I told you last time, we shut down the elevators because we're not going to use them because we don't want to get them dirty. We want to keep them nice and clean for when everybody moves back in there. But we are flying all of our material off those landings on that scaffold. So we have a big machine that's got a bucket, and all the material goes in the bucket, and then the operator takes the bucket and shakes it in the dumpster. So it's easier on our manpower, safer. They don't have to run up and down the stairs with anything in their hands. And it's working really, really well. So Luke is going to talk about it a little bit, but his schedule is really tight because we're trying to do a lot in a short period of time to get you back as fast as we can. And we're right on schedule. I was just up there today. So the scaffold's in place. One of the big notes we just want to remind is we are asking everybody, including employees, not to utilize that back fire lane. We have 3 dumpsters and we have that big yellow machine running back and forth back there. They have limited view because they've only got little windows in that big, huge machine. It's got big tires. It's hard to see people. So we're asking that we don't do a lot of walking in the back side because we need that space to get our material in and out. So kind of that whole corner right there by 2425 Lake Drive entrance and all the way to the parking lot in Bradford. We're asking you just to kind of avoid that area during this part of construction. And then our lifts, operators are looking for that high vis, and I wore it today so we could talk about that. This is what we all wear so that we can kind of be seen. We're not expecting you to wear it, but we're not really expecting a lot of foot traffic back there. Obviously it's a little, the weather's turned a little, so I'm sure you guys are walking more indoors. But just know that, you know, if your family member or something, if they could have kind of avoid that area, we appreciate it. A fitness pool, that's the pool.
Yeah.
Without any water. Has anybody here seen it without water? I have, because I watched it get pumped out. We are really excited to get going. This is the fitness room. You remember the mirrors in the fitness room? All the walls are down. Only a couple mirrors are remaining. The ceilings are all ripped out. We are working as fast as we can to get you that fitness room back and to get the pool back. We just wanted you to know, I know it's hard to see in there. I know how much you all appreciate it. A lot of work's going into it. We have a lot to do in there, so we're getting started as soon as you gave it to us, and we're working on it as much as we can. So we just want you to know what that's looking like. We're actually going to build a platform or a deck, wooden deck, in the pool with long legs down to the bottom, so that we can step onto it and work over the pool where the water would have been to get all that ceiling done. Because we have to give you a new ceiling, new lighting in there. When all that's done, we'll pull that out, and then we'll work on the floor in the pool, the tile in the pool, get that prettied up, and then we'll fill it with water. And hopefully I'll have a picture to say the water's almost balanced. It's time for someone to get swimsuits on. So.
Pete, it sounded like there might have been a couple questions, because I know the fitness center is one area that everybody's pretty interested in, and that's an area that we took down 2 weeks prior to watercolor, and they started in that immediately. They're doing their make-ready work, and they started in that area immediately, so that, again, to Pete's point, we could get that going. So, was there a couple questions about the fitness center?
Oh, I just wondered how long it took to drain the pool.
It took about 8 hours.
Did it?
Yeah, so we hired a professional pool builder, and he came in and he made sure all the valves and all the right switches were on and off. So he's the professional pool guy, and I basically just instructed him. I said, the pool's full of water, I need it to be empty, and I need everything to be shut off safely. And besides that, I can tell you, it had water, it doesn't have water, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
So, because that was what I was looking for. We're actually, Luke's going to be putting temporary guardrail around it because OSHA requires us to have a fall protection, and we just made ourselves a fall hazard because there's no water. So we have to put a railing around it until we get our platform. Here's a picture of the courtyard. I think last time we met, we had some concrete there. We've completed all of our concrete all the way out to the back where the gate's going to be. We're going to put a new gate next spring up in there. We're really excited that God gave us really good weather. It's not typical that you get to pour concrete almost to Christmas, but you know, we had it covered. I'm sure you remember seeing the blankets. We're trying to keep that ground nice and cozy so it stayed warm, because we got to keep it warm enough to pour the concrete on. All the concrete was poured before anything froze, and now we're seeing the temperature drop. So unfortunately, we did stop the construction on the little patio just west of Bradford. If you walk in that way, you see some orange fence. We're going to have to wait till spring. It got too cold. We don't want to spend any extra money heating the ground with expensive, machines or anything. And I don't think everyone's going to utilize it much until spring. So we'll have fresh concrete in spring out there for the residents of Bradford Terrace. And we're excited. And we actually got really close to getting ready to pour it, and the weather popped. And so we got to take what we can get. We did get a lot, so we got this. We're really excited about that. The addition schedule. Everybody today probably noticed the big box in the courtyard went from pink to lime green. Almost color my vest. That is not the finished color. That's one more layer of construction. Luke is getting all of the siding Monday, and he's got, I think, crews here Monday.
And I do have a crew coming Monday for that.
Yeah, so the siding is going to go on. You're going to get to see the real color of the siding. It is a pre-finished product that is designed to match the outside of all the buildings nearby. And I know last time we talked about how Tyler we didn't choose that siding. The Historic Society told us that's what we're getting. So we're really excited to see it, and I think it'll blend in really better than the lime green or the bright pink it was. And we're really excited to get that top cap on that wall that you can see from second floor. And the windows got arrived today.
Yep.
So there's only two. There's not a lot in there, but we're gonna get those windows in. Three? Was it three?
Two.
So we're gonna get the windows in next week. So
You guys will see windows going first and siding to follow.
So yeah, I'm really excited about that. So. All right, our quiz time is actually going to be show and tell. So I'm going to let Luke speak for a little bit about his career, how he got into construction, when, how long he's been in construction, and then we're going to follow it up with Jonah, who's probably got much less time, but maybe more insight. So if you want to stand up, Luke, and speak loudly, otherwise we got a microphone for you.
So August was my 26th year in the Milwaukee Carpenters Union. I took my apprenticeship right out of high school. And I spent my 4 years during my apprenticeship rough framing houses, and I spent another additional 4 years in the residential community. And then in 04, 05, I came on board with CG Schmidt. I've been here ever since, and I would say 80% of my career, I've been downtown Milwaukee. I spent 5 years next door at that hospital while we were constructing it and turning it over. Spent a year over at Northwestern at the tower. I put the addition on the Amtrak station, all over. A lot of schoolwork, a lot of hospitals, but like I said, a lot of work down here. So it's been good. I've known Pete for what, 15, 16 years?
16 years.
So
Luke and I got the opportunity to work together right away when we started. And then about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Luke got to meet Malachi, my son. And so he's gotten to work with both my kids. And again, I know I've told most of you were here when I told you that I'm a laborer, so I'm not a carpenter. So my union or my trade that I started out with before I supervised is more the placing of the concrete and removal of concrete and demo. And the carpenters are the highly trained construction people that build back. So we would do more removal, and we bring the carpenters the material. And so when my kids got the opportunity to go into a trade, I said, you know, we really respect the carpenters. Why don't you consider the carpenters? And it's been fun to know that somebody with the experience that Luke brings to the table had the opportunity to be part of their mentorship or their apprenticeship. So I guess that's just some note. And then Luke, if you have anything else.
no, it was just like Jonah. Actually, CG Schmidt actually went to Jonah's high school, and two guys from our office, Aaron Smith and Steve Flores, actually recruited him from his school, and you've been on board for what, 8 months now?
About 6.
6 months, so you're 18. I was just like him 26 years ago. I didn't know, you know. And the biggest thing I have for Jonah is be aware. You can pick up. You don't realize it, but you can pick up, you know, what this guy's doing with that. They mentor you and you don't even know it. And it's taken me a long way, you know, to this position where I'm at now. So.
Jonah, you want to stand up? And I mean, we got a little lead into that. So how did you get involved? I mean, tell us a little bit about how you got here.
Well, my name's Jonah. I'm 18. Started this job about 6 months ago, and in those 6 months I've been doing demolition for Schmidt, and so 6 months ago I started. Before that I was 17, middle of high school, my senior year, and I found out school had a program. The program was called the Launch Program. Doesn't really matter, but the program got me this job, got me the opportunity to be here building for you guys, and it's great.
Is anyone in your family in construction?
Well, a few people, yeah. My grandpa's been carpenters doing carpentry in their basement for a while, but nobody is union or non-union in my family.
So you didn't hear about this through family, you didn't have a lot of examples in your life. It was the outreach of our team looking and handpicking you. Were you in a class that, like a woods class?
Oh yeah, I was in a shop class.
So
By
you
chance.
enjoy wood, you liked using your hands, and you found it interesting. You didn't meet the 6 months you've been here, have you felt like this has been exciting, interesting? Is it what you thought you'd be doing?
Not really, not at all. My shop class is a lot of building, and so far I haven't done a lot of that at all.
So I always tell Jonah, I said, what makes you valuable is you're versatile. You know, you're gonna be well-rounded. Yeah, you're doing labor's work as a carpenter, apprentice, doing demo, but I tell them, don't be discouraged because you're doing labor's work. There's gonna be carpentry to follow. So you'll see the big picture, you'll see the building come down, and then you'll see it come back up, and then you'll see all the mechanicals and electrical, everything come together, and that building will come real fast.
How many feet of wall are you gonna do, roughly?
Like for ceiling and acoustical ceiling, my guys have to hit 135 square feet an hour.
So 135 square feet an hour per man to take out acoustic ceiling. That's the rate that we expect Jonah to take it out at. And that doesn't just include Jonah taking it out, putting it in a garbage can. That involves someone taking that garbage can, putting it in the bucket, and that guy flying it down, putting it in the garbage can. That's all incorporated in that speed. So we have a lot of expectation on our guys. We train them well. And obviously Jonah's starting out kind of disassembling, so we can see how it went together. And then he's going to work. We talked about maybe our mentoring program where you pair a new hire with a journeyman here on site.
Correct. I always will put a fresh employee with a seasoned trades worker. Not that he's off on his own, lost, risking an injury or hurting somebody else. So there's a learning curve for the next couple of years for sure. Jonah.
And that's something that you'll see a lot here is us pairing up a younger apprentice with a seasoned journeyman because, again, we need to ensure that we're building a quality product. So we're utilizing that knowledge of that seasoned journeyman, but we want to make sure that we take the time to train the next generation that's going to not only pay our pension, but that he's here to replace us when we go to retire. And that's really important because seeing it, getting your hands on it, but then having the assurance that that journeyman's overseeing the task, so we still maintain that quality and safety, so that he doesn't accidentally put his hand somewhere he shouldn't. They can catch his hand and say, "All right, that could have been an injury. Let's stop that." And so I asked Jonah to wear his sleeves today. So he's wearing these sleeves. Jonah, explain why we wear the sleeves. This is an interesting.
Well, these are the demolition sleeves. They're mandatory, and they protect your arms from falling objects, falling debris, nails.
So they're made out of Kevlar, which is the same product they make bulletproof vests out of. So our company, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, made them a mandatory demo PPE, personal protective equipment, which is our hard hat, our gloves, our vests. We all have to wear long pants and boots that are suitable for the type of work we do. And then in addition to that, there's specific PPE or personal protective equipment that we're requiring Jonah to wear because his task is demo. So he's reaching up into the ceiling and there's wires and sharp metal, and we don't want him to get cuts on his wrists, his arms. Go ahead.
Who pays for it?
So we, as a general contractor, are required to supply Jonah with all this PPE. OSHA requires us to supply that. When our company made the choice to take the next step and add gloves or add these specialized hard hats that have the chin strap, we incurred that cost as a general contractor. So we have to absorb that cost partly in what we give our employees. So it's an overhead of doing construction, but we see it as a way to maintain safety because we want Jonah to go home without big cuts on him. And we also see it as the best way, again, to prevent injuries that do cost money to us. So if we can prevent an injury, it makes a better quality of life for our employee, but it also saves us the potential injury costs.
Do you at CG Schmidt find enough young people or sufficient numbers that are taking training in high school that are potential people like Jonah that you can offer apprenticeships to? Are there enough people in high school coming to these programs?
Luke, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, it's hard. it's hard to get fresh faces into the trades. I know for a while we were struggling with new hires and bringing new hires on board. And that's when they started coming up with these programs and actually going to high schools and recruiting students and bringing them on board to the union trades. So it's,
How many other people are involved at your high school graduation?
I was about to say, yeah, there's about a dozen in my class that graduated. There's about a dozen in my graduating class that became carpenters, and a few more that became welders.
So, I mean, of one high school, when my boys graduated, there was 4 from their high school that went into the carpenter's trade. I don't know about the other trades as much. But I think C.G. Schmidt going out ourselves, and we're handpicking kids from classes that have show interest in hands-on trades. We're selfishly pulling them into the trades, but we're pulling them in for us. Because we want to be able to maintain our workforce, but as a whole in the trades, corporately in Milwaukee, it's very important that we continue this proactive researching and targeting kids that have an interest. Because we feel that not all the schools are communicating well to young people that this is a good quality, high-paying career that will give you a high-quality life and your family good benefits. I raised my children on my wage, and they got great health benefits. My wife and I are very comfortable based on the trades, and it's not necessarily. Go ahead.
How many girls do you hire?
I know we have. How many carpenters do you have that we know?
I would have at least half a dozen that I know of in our company.
The trades are definitely becoming a lot different. We're seeing a lot more variety of who's going into the trades. We have 1 female laborer on site. We had 1 electrician on site here. We had a female finisher here during the concrete pour. So the trades are still very heavily male, but we're seeing more and more female get involved. It's obviously encouraged. There's a separate group in the Carpenters Union called the Sisters in the Brotherhood, because it's always been called the Brotherhood of Carpenters. So the young lady that came in with my boys, she joined the Sisters in the Brotherhood, and it's camaraderie. They're all the same gender, so they kind of feel that togetherness. And we as a industry are embracing the diversity that the women bring to the construction industry. It's not just a need that they're filling. There's many very independent women that really want this type of career. They're seeking this type of career. They enjoy this. A lot of them have told me a lot of really, really positive stuff. I met a carpenter last year, 2 years ago. She was a journeyman, and she decided to actually go into management. So she did the whole, the 4-year apprenticeship, got her journeyman's card, and then went to school while she was raising 3 kids, and then finished her bachelor's degree in construction management. She still works for C.G. Schmidt, but she's doing a little bit more, less hands-on and more management, but she's carrying the journeyman's card. She did all the same apprenticeship that Jonah's going to do. And so she's bringing this wealth of knowledge, all that experience, understanding what it takes to do the task, and she's bringing that into the management. And it's just really exciting to see her do that. And obviously, she's doing a really good job raising her kids with that income and the benefits, and she can't talk enough about the trade. So,
I'm wondering what we need to communicate to the school systems that's needed in starting at grade school and into high school. What kind of education would help people who are going to go into the trades? I mean, is there things with math or that can be applied to work jobs in the trade, and that would help them
I
find
was just
those
gonna
jobs?
say, fractions. Please teach your kids how to read a tape measure. That is one of the funniest things people say. When am I gonna use math when I grow up? When do you not use math, Luke? What did Luke do all day, math?
My forte is like foundation work. Well, everything. I spent a lot of years in foundations, and especially at Northwestern Mutual, about geometry, a lot of geometry, because a lot of buildings are radiused, a lot of buildings have angles, and you need to know a distance. How do you get that corner of the building established from this point? You know, you used to have to do math longhand, and some of my problems were like 2 pages long, but now we have robots that run off of GPS. You set it, you download the CAD system into this machine, and you walk with a prism, and it tells you where the corner of the building is gonna be, and you can work with your earth worker, and even the earth worker equipment, all their stuff, depending on the sub, they have beacons that run off of a satellite, and it tells them how far to dig.
So there's a screen inside their backhoe or their bulldozer, and it tells them how deep their bucket is, and making sure that that bottom of that trench where he's gonna set his concrete that's gonna hold the building up is at the right elevation, it's deep enough.
And when I back check them off my math or off of a known benchmark, we'll be within like a half inch to an inch of each other.
And that's off the satellites,
Yep.
Yeah.
up in space, so.
There's a lot of technology, there's a lot of math. It's come a long way from when I first started.
So to answer your question, I think everything. I think math, geometry, interest in science, because there's a lot of earthwork and how different soils respond. Obviously, you build a huge 600-foot building in Milwaukee. We all know there's a swamp, Lake Emily is underneath there. We need to know that, we need to understand all the science to hold that building from sinking or tipping over. And there's a lot that goes into construction. I believe that if you find a young person who likes to stack Legos, I think if you like to play in the sandbox, I think if you see somebody who likes to build tree forts, I mean, did you build tree forts? Maybe not even. So, some kids never build tree forts, they fall into this trade. So there's a lot of things that can lead you in the interest of seeing how to take concrete, wood, and brick and turn it into a community for you and to see what that takes. The trades have everybody and anything. We do the plumbing, the air, the HVAC, all of the electrical. The electricians basically have a master's degree by the time they're done with their apprenticeship. So I mean, there's a ton that goes into this, and I think people used to consider us untrained, uneducated, and I think they're starting to realize that there's so much that goes into commercial construction at this level, at these heights, with the responsibility to make sure that the building is sound for you to live in and function, so that you have quality air, the comfort in the space when it's air conditioned, and that everything functions. It's important the doors work perfectly, because if somebody is struggling to open a door, they might not be able to get out of that room comfortably. And so understanding how important the training is and how detailed that training needs to be so that everybody gets that quality product. And I think if we can capture students' interests early, they could see this. I grew up playing with Tonka trucks. I wanted to, take the backhoe and load the Tonka and dump the Tonka down the way. And I get to see backhoes and dump trucks take the material out of your courtyard. So for me, this was something that's exciting because I grew up wanting to see it in real life. Somebody who may not be exposed to that, maybe not grew up around it, I think if we could catch their interest, and again, remind them, I know my kids were really pummeled with college is money. No college, no money. And I think that was the big problem there. That communication somehow got lost between the teachers and the administration and what they heard. So they didn't hear construction money, they heard college money. So they were under the understanding they'd be subpar income if they got into construction, which is obviously, Luke will attest to because he's been making income for a long time. We have a very good quality of life. We work hard. We sacrifice a lot of physical strength to accomplish the goals. You see the guys out there busting their backs, pouring that concrete. They're bent over. I mean, he's got to wear protective sleeves so he doesn't cut himself. He's tearing down everything you see in here. But we are compensated well, and we want to share that with young adults that they're willing to get up. He's got to be here on time. Luke will let you know if he's what do you say? 1 minute late?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 minute late. He's going to hear it.
So Jonah, are you a pre-apprentice? So you have your next 4 years laid out, right? You know what you make now. In 4 years from now, Jonah will know what he makes, and then depending on the project, if there's a lot of overtime because of delays, weather conditions. So I think it's like every 600 hours you get 5 or 10% raise, right? And then every June he gets his contractual raise. So some years you could have 3 raises, some years you could have 4 raises, and then depending on the overtime, he'll fly through the hours on his apprenticeship and get all those raises, and you'll be ahead of your class.
So again, we want to share that with young adults that are thinking, is this something I want to do? Absolutely. If you're willing to wake up, get dirty, because we do. I mean, you can see Jonah's been getting dusty all day, and you know, we get dirty, and we work hard, you know, and you might be a little achy. You got to stretch a little bit when you get home. It's hot. A lot of the areas we work have been really, really warm because we're up in the ceiling where it's warm. And so we've got to, you know, you got to drink a lot of water. It's not necessarily comfortable. We work outside. The guys today were out there in the wind and it's snowing on them. But if you're willing to do that, you know, there's a compensation for it.
And
So.
you can go far with CG Schmidt, and like after you're done, after you become a journeyman, Pete and I both did it. They will send you back to school to be in a position that both of us are in right now. And then you'll get invites. Like they invited me to the ACI committee, which is the American Concrete Institute for the Midwest. And basically once a month, there's a bunch of engineers, architects, and we talk about concrete and designs. Well,
Because they're the end users. They're placing
there's
it.
a design for
Yeah.
a road. There's all kinds of mixed designs, and what, you know, talk about green concrete being green, less carbon in the air, and they came up with a design instead of using aggregate, it was foam. And as excuse me, it's actually stronger than aggregate. So, and then there's a bunch of Platt students, you know, MSOE students. It's pretty interesting.
So our company is trying to get everybody involved in societies and institutes in the area that help build the guidelines and the standards in our industry. So we like to make sure that they're connected because he's got that experience, so he can give that experience to the engineers. Go ahead.
Listening to you, there are no waiting lists anymore to become a carpenter
No.
or an electrician. There used to be a long waiting period.
When I got in, if you didn't know somebody, you weren't even getting in. You had to have a phone number or a name, and you needed
It
to
was
know
hard.
somebody. It was very difficult to get in when I got in. And I think for Luke too, I think it was all word of mouth. You could go to my hall, even 5 years ago, my hall wasn't taking applicants. And this has definitely changed. So we have a sign saying, now hiring in front of our hall, so.
So your answer is there is a waiting list or there?
No, not at least in the laborers and the carpenters. There's no waiting.
There's electricians?
My son, when he graduated in, what was that, 7 years ago, there was a 1-year wait to get on the list for an electrician. That was 7 years ago. I don't know what it is today, but I'm sure it's, again, after 2019, 2020, we saw a big down drop in applicants in the trades. A lot of the kids, I think, are in their parents' basement right now. What are they doing, Jonah? You know them. No, but,
Storms.
yeah, so, go ahead.
Isn't there a lot of personal satisfaction to being able to build something and then stand back and look at it when it's done?
Oh, yeah.
It is something that I joke about with every trade person I've ever met's wife. Does your husband drive through Milwaukee and point at every building he worked at? And I haven't met a guy's wife to date that doesn't say that every time they drive by, they say, I built that place, I built that place. I do it, I've been doing it since day one. Jonah's gonna do it when his mom's in the car and he's going down the road, hey mom, that's where I work, that castle, we did that. So, that's absolutely, I think it's the best part about this job is especially coming into a place that needs maintenance or needs a lot of work. And I mean, how exciting was it to see that wall open up and to go into the comments? And that was us, we did that. So for us, it is thrilling to see you sitting in the comments, see you guys catching something at the bistro. I saw somebody walking them past with some fruit and a little wrap sandwich. That's exciting. These guys put that bistro there, they made sure that top was there. I saw the guy grouting all the tile behind it. We want to see you using that because that's why we came here, to make sure that you have the best place to be served food. So we love seeing you use it.
I think companies like yours should be commended for being proactive. You're not, it seems to me, you're not just waiting for applicants to come in. You are going into the high school and helping people like Jonah start making some decisions and all that. And that can't help but influence the curriculum, which Kathy brought up, in terms of what is needed academically. But it's encouraging to know that you folks are not just standing back and waiting for people. You're going in and trying to recruit people.
Well, and I think we, Luke and I are within a year apart. We both see that we're not that far from retirement. I mean, we're not close, but we're not that far. We understand that we need replacements. Jonah needs to be trained because he's going to retire. Someone has to fill that spot.
Yeah, he's the future.
Yeah, and we have to find them because we're only a handful of years away. And I think that if they're not coming to us, like you said, that waiting list, we need to go out and find them. And I think that, Jonah, did you ever hear, did anybody come up before that and say, hey, you should go out and build skyscrapers and communities?
No.
So I mean, it wasn't pushed. He didn't hear about it. So we need to make sure that he gets that. And if the curriculum doesn't change, we're going to have to get our foot in the door, find the kids that are interested, young men, that are interested in hands-on work. And I think that's how we're going to see success. Because again, buildings are getting more complicated. There's more math. We have better tools, but they're getting more complicated, more round buildings, radius buildings. We're seeing buildings with interesting features where they hang off, they're cantilevered off the side. UWM just built a building that, we both worked on at KIRC, the Science Center, we both worked on that one. All kinds of ridiculous shapes hanging off the side. It's not simple squares anymore. They make it tricky so it looks cool, but we need talented people to make sure that we understand what we're building. So, does anybody else have any questions? My computer seems to have shut itself off. So in conclusion, I guess we didn't have a quiz question, but this kind of mixed it up. We've taken more than enough of your time. So we appreciate your time. We look forward to meeting again. I'm sure Carl will put a slide in when we're meeting next. I don't remember when it is. So
January 20th.
January 20th, thank you. And we'll have lots and lots to show you by January.
Yeah.
Jonah has been working every day to make more progress for you to see. So,
Thank you, guys.
any other questions, or we'll say goodbye?
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Is there any questions related to the construction, since I have the construction guys here? One thing is, I know yesterday I mentioned about the ramp. I know there's been a lot of questions about when that's going to open. Pete let me know my timeline is well ahead of theirs, so it's more towards probably the May-ish
Probably May-ish.
time frame when the ramp will actually open, because they want to open it when this is all done. When I say this, it's Lindsay Hall and this hallway. That's more fun to be had for future conversations. So that's when the ramp will open, the inside of it. So, but you will see the finished outside
Very shortly.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Next
Let's do
week.
it. Quick.
But no, very, very soon you'll start to
Yeah.
see some pieces put together.
Yeah.
yeah, starting Monday.
So yeah, starting one. And yeah, again, credit to CG Schmidt, and obviously thank you for sharing your stories. It is truly incredible. I'm fortunate, my brother works in the trades, and so I know just enough to keep these guys on their toes, and make sure that I don't know what I'm doing. So really appreciate your time, and thanks for everything you're doing. You guys are doing an incredible job. And thank you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.